The other one was, well, maybe under conditions of what Marxists would call monopoly capitalism, capitalists won't lower their prices. They stick on to to a given price level in the face of lower wages. Well, what happens then? Then you get something that each individual capitalist sure likes. Same price for the stuff that you sell, lower wages also means lower real wages. And that means for the individual capitalist that the individual profits might go up because labor cost is going down. That's the crucial thing, lowering labor costs. You hear it all the time. However, this is where Keynes jumped in and said, well, but with lower real wages, you also lower the purchasing power of all the people who make a living by spending, by working and then spending their wages. So what you win in terms, you capitalist, you win in terms of lowering labor costs, you might actually lose in terms of selling to customers, and then you have a crisis of underconsumption. Being part of the bourgeoisie means he wanted to preserve capitalism, and he was very open about it. So what he suggested is, don't touch wages in the face of a crisis in the first place. This is why unions like Keynes so much. So take wages out of the solving the capitalist crisis equation and do something else. And this something else was the famous policy of spending government money. And if you don't have it, you take a credit from people who have it. Even in a capitalist crisis, there are people who have money. There are even people who make more money during a crisis. Maybe they give you a credit. And the other thing that you can do is, I talked about people having difficulty paying back their credits. Well, maybe you can ease that by making credit cheaper. These two policy tools are very famous for Keynesianism, and they certainly contributed significantly to the long boom after the Second World War. However, they later created their own problems in the 70s. We can discuss maybe whether today there is, as some people on the left suggest, a time where we should reinvent Keynes, which they would argue was abandoned by neoliberalism, or whether, as Marxists would say, well, Keynesianism worked for a while. Maybe it never was fully abandoned in the first place, and in the second place, if we kind of fully embark on Keynesian policies, they might not work in quite the same way they did in the past, and for that reason we should reinvent Marxist-informed policies, and hopefully then we might be more successful than Marxists were in the 30s.
And hear them come around again, hear the trumpets sound again, hear the drums resound again beneath the walls of Troy. And you'll hear them talk of natural law and population trends. They set the wise to rationalize and they talk of means and ends. They say that man was made to hunt, it's all part of
economic liberalism on one hand, and Marxist communism on the other hand. Ingo Schmidt presented social democracy, or Keynesianism, in the middle way. In other words, private-public partnerships. Now, you can add your choice of political system on nowpolling.ca, so it can be counted. But before we do that, let's listen to Alison Ayers.